Hi, I'm Tim and welcome to watchyouwant.com. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at an absolute animal. Now, we did a couple of Panerai submersible chronographs last week, but it should go without saying that 2004 was the year of the super sub. Between the 1000 meter PAM00194 submersible chronograph that we just did and this incredible Luminor Submersible 2500 meter, it was a hell of a year. But while the 187 is a fascinating, complicated reference from Panerai, the one you're looking at right here, the Luminor Submersible 2500 meter, is a Grand Prize winner, or should I say Grand Prix. In 2004, this revolutionary reference, which combined all of Panerai's most up-to-date technology for a 21st century dive watch, actually won the sports watch category at the annual Grand Prix d'Horlogerie in Genève. That was awesome because Panerai previously had been known as something of an attitude watch, an image watch. Great history, great wrist presence, incredibly enthusiastic, almost rabid Paneristi following, but in terms of real technology and watchmaking craft, there'd always been some reservations. In 2004, this watch was the icebreaker, and it's easy to see why. This thing's big enough to break the iceberg that sank the Titanic. Hell, this thing's big enough to sink the Titanic by itself. And if you want to dive to the Titanic, with a maximum depth of 2,500 meters, that's just over 8,300 feet, this watch is almost up to the task. The bottom line is that this was an effort by Panerai to take everything for which it was known: durability, rugged, go-anywhere technology, basically the versatility to bring your watch any place you would go and then many places you wouldn't, that boldness, that pioneering dive watch flair from the 30s, 40s, and 50s when they were standard issue for the Italian military's elite combat swimmers. They tried to recapture that in the 21st century, and with the 2500, the PAM00194 that you see right here, they did that. And this watch incorporated a couple of interesting refinements that set it apart from other Panerai sports watches. Now, while every Panerai could be considered a dive watch, in as much as they were originally designed for combat divers, the reality is that today there is a definition of what a dive watch is for safety's sake. It has to have a constant seconds indicator, present and correct at 9 o'clock. It has to meet certain shock and water resistance measures. It has to have a unidirectional diving bezel. This watch ticks all of those boxes and many more. This limited edition of 1000 incorporates the submersible style diving bezel, first introduced on the 1998 PAM24 Luminor Submersible, but to that it adds the 47mm brushed titanium case, a helium release valve for return from extreme depths when breathing exotic oxygen mixtures or when helium might have built up inside the case. You don't want to blow out the crystal during decompression, so at 3 bar this automatically begins to release the helium pressure. There's a lot more than meets the eye though, because this watch also has a 5.9mm sapphire crystal. That's freaking insane. The Rolex Deep Sea Dweller has a 5mm crystal. Now, why does that matter to you on the surface? Why does that matter to me? I can't go that deep. You can't go that deep. Heck, you can't even go that deep with a special suit. So why do you need a crystal that's almost 6mm thick? The reality is, today people want to wear their luxury watches, especially sports models like this, just about everywhere. No one says, oh no, wait, let me take it off first. My big butch dive watch just isn't up to the task of jumping in the surf or running through a doorway or getting into the car. But I've seen sapphire crystals on dressier models shadowed by car door buckles. I've seen people nick doorknobs and break the crystal. I've seen people jump into the water, hit a rock, and chip or break crystals. The thicker a crystal is, the stronger it gets, and the harder it is to chip, crack, or shatter it. So this Panerai Luminor Submersible 2500 PAM194 may never dive to the Titanic or even the Andrea Doria with you, but what it will do is give you just that much more margin for error when you're wearing it on the surface. Because, let's face it, the urban jungle is a jungle. And like I said, this watch is an animal, so it's up to the task. Now, the dive bezel itself ratchets very nicely, actually. It's easy to get a purchase on it because of these raised riders that double as calibration. Very easy to get a grip, turns very smoothly, and there's a lot of intelligence in the way it's designed. And I'm going to show you one of the cool little tricks here that you might overlook on first glance. If you remember the PAM64 Bomba, the 1000 meter Panerai submersible that started to take the PAM24 design and evolve it towards more extreme ends in the early 2000s, the watch had a little bit of a pinched look to it, in as much as the dial seemed very small relative to the size of the watch, and a big reason for that was the bezel that was large and constrained the dial. What Panerai does here is they actually build in a black chapter ring onto the bezel, and you can see it right here because these calibrations through the first 15 minutes show you where the black portion actually begins and ends relative to the bezel and the crystal. You can see it's just a little sliver of area, but what it does is it visually extends the dial. This black has a bigger span to it, and the whole thing seems less pinched visually. Now, I did show you the wrist shot, but I'm going to show you again just because I didn't quote my wrist size. At 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters for our metric friends, I have a smallish to average sized wrist. Now, this watch wears big. There's no bones about that. It's a big watch. It's designed to wear big. It's almost more of an instrument than a watch, but that's the look. And this watch is a no-nonsense, highly technical aesthetic. This is for the kind of guy who loves the fact that you can see all of the engine on his Harley Davidson. It's not a kitted up, plastic-covered Japanese sports bike. This is for the kind of guy who's interested in what's inside the machine. Someone with maybe a Bauhaus sensibility where you can see the structure of the building rendered on the outside. If you like tool watches, if you like the history of dive watches, if you like the history of Panerai, this is a significant modern reference, and it really takes that classic dive watch aesthetic to the next level. It's a bigger, bolder, more advanced machine, and again, it is a Grand Prize winner. You can count on one hand the number of Panerai watches that have won the Grand Prix. Put it this way, they are not Geneva's favorite. They're big, they're modern, they're in your face. They're not hallmark of Geneva. They have no roots in the city. So to break through all those barriers and impress that crowd is a big, big deal. And this is a collector's item par excellence. One of 1,000 units made. It is a titanium watch. Thoughtfully, the bezel is steel, so it's quite resilient and won't scratch like titanium can. So the brunt of impacts will be taken by the bezel, but the case is made of brushed titanium for lightness on the wrist. This watch is complete with all boxes and papers from watchyouwant.com, everything including a couple of interesting accessories like the COSC certificate and the matching movement sticker, which you want with a collectible Panerai, the special edition certificate from the 2004 special editions. You're also getting a remarkable Grand Prix of Genève certification that's actually a copy of that received by the Panerai company when it won the sports watch category in Geneva that year. Moreover, you're getting everything that's an accessory to this watch. The secondary textile strap with contrasting white stitching. You're getting the jeweler's tool so you can swap out this, the secondary strap, and swap in any aftermarket or Panerai factory strap you like. You're even getting the original polishing cloth. So if hot on the heels of the Geneva Grand Prix in 2004, or I should say 2005, the follow-up year, because, you know, Oscar season works the same way, you went out and bought this watch, you would have received everything that you get from watchyouwant.com. Everything except the authorized dealer's MSRP markup. This watch is a collectible reference. It's a landmark model in terms of technology and watchmaking accomplishment for Panerai, and it is available with all boxes, papers, and unique accessories from watchyouwant.com. Check it out on our website, watchyouwant.com. If you want an individualist Panerai, something off the beaten path, something big, bold, historic, and fun, a no bones about it, technical tour de force, this PAM00194 Luminor Submersible 2500 meter just might be the watch you want.